NFL on Netflix, NBA back to NBC, and the WNBA, well, their viewership just keeps on rising, and that only helps a startup 3-on-3 women's league. Diving into the world of sports business with longtime sports executive David Levy right now at the NASDAQ. Hello, everyone. This is Jabari Young, senior writer at Forbes, and I'm joined at the NASDAQ by David Levy, the co-CEO of Horizon Sports and Experiences. It's a media and marketing company, right? Co-founded by you as well as your partner and Horizon Media. It's your first time at the NASDAQ, David?
I think this is my first time, not with you and I, though.
Yeah,
but first time in a one-on-one, yes.
Man, well, welcome, man. I appreciate the time, man. You know, you're one of the only few guys that I can really call and get sports business takes, and I know you're going to keep it real. You are an investor in Unrivaled, right? Basketball is a new 3-on-3 women's league. Investors include New York Liberty's Breanna, Stewart, Steve Nash, Carmelo Anthony, former ESPN boss John Skipper, USA Soccer star Alex Morgan, and this guy named David Levy as well, right?
Well, not David Levy, but HS&E.
Well, HS&E,
which I'm a part of, but my partners Chris and Bill Koenigsberg, we're all invested in it because we all actually believe that women's sports is on a rise.
Right.
I think there's this inflection point that's happening right now in women's sports, and we can see it in a few areas, right? The first area is viewership. Ratings are going up, not just in WNBA, but in soccer, in NCAA, in softball, in volleyball. Yeah. Across the board, you're seeing the game and the talent and the women are stronger and better, and viewership is rising. We're seeing attendance growing, and these aren't growing like in single digits. These are growing in double and triple digit. We're seeing sports betting. People are actually betting on women's sports. Yeah. And when you bet on something, you're engaged. And when you're engaged, you watch more. Yeah. You're 95% more likely to watch if you bet on a sport. So you're seeing betting, attendance, viewership. You're seeing brands shifting dollars from men's sports to women's sports, or from entertainment to women's sports, because they see the value. So when you have all those things that are kind of rising like a hockey stick, it's the right time to invest. And HS&E, we came out, and I think we spoke a little bit about it, the Women's Championship Classic that's going on in December. That was our first investment. Our second investment is now Unrivaled. Right. And I think this is a league that's just about, I mean, yes, it's a new league, but the brand names, the women that are going to be playing in this league are all stars of the WNBA. Well,
I was ready to say, they're active stars, right? And so you're going to have the 3-on-3. You know, when you look at other 3-on-3 leagues from the men's side, those are former retired players that are playing. You guys are using WNBA stars in their prime that's going to be involved. Do you have any name? I know, listen, Breanna Stewart is an investor, so I would think she has to be a player, right?
She's a player.
She's a player. Anybody else that you can preview?
And the other originator of the 3-on-3, Nafisa Collins.
And her husband as well.
And her husband. So they're definitely the names we can talk about. I can't talk about any of the other names yet. We're going to release that in a couple of weeks.
Can you give me a preview?
But I will tell you, there is a lot of names that are sitting on that Olympic team right now that are going to be playing.
Well, that's good. Yeah. That's good. Well, so Caitlin Clark, I mean, she didn't make the, but can maybe, you know, get her, send her an invite.
I certainly, this league was not developed because of her. Yeah. But I would be surprised if she wasn't playing.
That's good.
In this league.
That's good. Now, listen, man, you know as much as I do, we talk about leagues all the time. You guys were part of the Pickleball Slam, and I always ask, like, what's the business behind Unrivaled? Like, is the distribution there? Is that coming? What's the sponsorship?
So John Skipper and I are out there in the marketplace as we speak, calling the typical media companies that you would think we'd be calling. This is a property that is 6 teams. 5 players on each team, 3-on-3 basketball on a full court, although not a 92-foot court, a 60-foot court. Each of the players are going to have equity in the league, so there's going to be a reason why they want to make this league to be successful. Each of these players have huge social followings. They have brand names, and these games are going to be an hour total per game. So it's 3 nights a week, 2 hours a night for 8 weeks.
Okay.
All right. And so now you go around and you go to your typical people you would think about, the streamers, the broadcast networks, the cable networks, and you try to find places where you're going to think there's going to be opportunity. And I think this league, with these stars in January, February, and March, are going to be an interesting opportunity and an interesting property for these networks to look at.
Yeah. Why January, February, March, right? Because, I mean, listen, your NFL season's up there, and then, you know, you're right around MLB opening time. Like, why that?
Great question. So we don't want to, first of all, the WNBA is playing now as we speak. So this is in their off season. Typically, as you know, the women players go overseas to earn their extra money, okay? And the reason this league was started was, why have to go overseas? Why can't we play here, market ourselves here? When you go overseas, the brands that are investing in these women athletes can't support it over there, right? So here's a way to support it now, instead of 6 to 7 months, 7 to 10 months, right? So you get that extra visibility. It's in the off season. It's controlled. It's all going to be played down in Miami. So we're building out a set that's going to have about 1,000 seats in the set. They get equity in the league. They can bring their kids. Right? There's going to be an opportunity to bring your families, you don't have to leave your family now, right? There's a way to bring it here. So January, February, March is, typically basketball season. Yes, you called it football season, but it's the end of football season. The Super Bowl's in February. And it's an opportunity to play within the basketball season in the off season of the WNBA.
Yeah. And so when you talk about, again, January, February, March, I'm looking at opportunities where it's that down period, right? You get that lag after the Super Bowl, right? And then there's that Pro Bowl time. NBA hasn't kicked into high gear yet, right? They're coming off of their All-Star. So you guys get some weeks in between to kind of, get
You get that, and then, of course, March Madness, you get the build-up of the college basketball. So I just think it's a sweet spot for them. I think, I think it's an opportunity to showcase these women. Again, 3-on-3 is a very different game than 5-on-5. And this 3-on-3 is going to be even different because it's going to be a full court. So I think the athleticism of these women are going to be able to be shown far differently when you're running, a court game versus a half-court game. So I think their ability is going to be shown. I think it's going to be fun. There's also, when the NBA is breaking for the All-Star game, there's going to be, we're going to break as well, in case some of the women need to go up and do some things at the All-Star game. We're going to run a one-on-one tournament as well.
Wow.
So we're going to find out who is the best one-on-one women's basketball player. And they'll be playing for money.
Well, take me inside of Horizon Sports and Experiences, right? Because when we talked about this a year ago, right, when Pickleball was, Pickleball Slam was coming. Y'all just finished Pickleball Slam 2 in February.
We're going to announcing pretty soon Pickleball 3.
Pickleball 3 coming up, right? But, I went on Horizon's website and it says, this company, core focus is IP creation and monetization, strategic advisory, consulting, media rights, sponsorship, marketing, all of the good stuff, right? And also, the experiment of activating the physical and digital worlds, right? Sum all that up for me, right? What is Horizon doing? Because if I'm looking at this company, I'm thinking, okay, you guys are competing against the Playfly Sports of the world, all the other, sports and marketing and media agencies. What's different about Horizon?
I think the difference of HS&E is what Chris and I were basically thinking about when we started this back in January of 2023, which is not so long ago, which was, yes, we're going to represent clients, brand consulting, activation, experiential. We're going to do some consulting and sales, but we're going to create our own IP, which a lot of agencies don't do, right? And to really put your money where your mouth is, like with Pickleball, with Unrivaled, with the WCC. We're going to announce a soccer tournament pretty soon with another partner. So the way it works is this. You create this IP, okay? You sell sponsorships into this IP, whether it's your own clients or clients that have an opportunity to want to get into this kind of property. And then you activate and you have experientials around the IP itself. So it's kind of a flywheel where you create the IP, you sell the IP, and then you activate.
Instead of just taking IP, representing it on the marketplace, and then getting a piece of the revenue, hopefully. When you think about the biggest positive surprise, I always ask people when they're running a company, what's the biggest positive surprise that you guys have seen running Horizon Sports and Experiences?
I think positive is that, if you put your money where your mouth is and invest in places where you think the puck is going next.
Your Wayne Gretzky line.
My Wayne Gretzky line, where the puck is going next. We focused on 5 areas. We focused on pickleball, which we've invested in. We focused on women's sports. we focused in Formula One, where we represent a Formula One exhibition that's traveling around the world right now. It's in Toronto as we speak. It's going to be in the UK during the summer, and hopefully in Vegas for the race in November. Think of it as a traveling museum, an exhibition. We're selling sponsorships in that, and we own a piece of that business. So for women's sports, Formula One, pickleball, golf, and soccer. Yeah. And we seem to be touching in all those points, and it seems to look like we're in the right position to be at.
What about the biggest negative surprise? Is something that you guys maybe they stumble and you got to fix it, or something that you need to work on?
We haven't come across two negatives. The only negative is when a client wants to leave you. You just want to understand why he wants to leave you, what happened. Sometimes it's a CMO change. Sometimes it's a product that's changed, or they're not doing as well, they're business-wise and so forth. So, just making sure you keep those relationships.
Yeah. If a sponsor walked off the elevator at the NASDAQ right now and says, hey, man, I heard Horizon Sports and you guys are representing, why should I hire y'all to go and, represent me out in the marketplace? What do you tell them?
We know our business. We know the trends. We have great people. We have great representation. And I think we do a hell of a good job for our clients.
Yeah. Well, that leads me back into going into your background, right? Because if people don't know, right, you're the former president at Turner Sports, right? And as I'm looking into your background, and I've done this plenty of times before, but you helped the NCAA jump to that network, man. I mean, you ran Turner Sports, right? Inside the NBA, you ran that. You were there when the NFL was on TNT. People forget the NFL was on TNT, yes, 1990 to 1990. Sunday Night Football, right? They forget that. You were there.
9 weeks.
Oh, man. I mean, I tell people all the time, don't be surprised. The NFL should be trying, or the TNT should be trying to get the NFL back. But you were there then, man. You had to go back and you had to look at all the advice you've accumulated throughout all this time of your experience. What's the biggest leadership advice you've ever received?
Take chances. Take risks. Believe in your gut. Gut choices are usually right. When your gut says go, typically you should go, and don't hold back. Obviously, you have the data and all the other information you should have to make sure your gut is right, but typically your gut's right. The deal you mentioned, the NCAA deal, that was a deal that I did with Sean McManus at CBS, and I would say that is a landmark deal for Turner. They still have it through, I think, 2032. Yeah. But to be able to crown a champion at Turner at that time, we never were able to crown a champion. We never had the World Series. We never had the finals in the NBA. We never had the Super Bowl. But to be able to crown a champion at Turner was a very big deal for our organization, and I was proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Well, when you think about all the stuff that was going on at Turner, right, again, that was one part of it, but when people identify that brand, they're always going to go back to inside the NBA, right?
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite inside the NBA story? Like one that you could look at Kenny, Charles, and you can just, y'all start laughing instantly.
There's too many of them. I mean, when Charles had to kiss a little donkey's butt because of Kenny's bet, or when he had to hold his breath underwater, or Shaq trying to eat a hot Dorito chip, and said he could do it. But my proudest moment, honestly, was when Charles was thinking about leaving, and 5 of us flew down to Arizona and spent some real quality time with him, and showed him what he meant to Turner, not just as a talent on air, but almost a family member. And basically said, listen, we would like to sign you back on for another 10 years. And after we left that particular meeting, the 5 of us, he shook my hand and said, I'm coming back.
Who was at that meeting?
It was myself, Craig Barry, who's still at Turner, Lenny Daniels, who was the president at the time, Tara August, and I'm missing one that I can't remember, but it
wasn't Shaq?
No, Shaq wasn't at that meeting.
Shaq wasn't at the, okay,
no,
so what year was this?
No, this was, let's see, I guess he's got 2 more years left on his deal, so 2 years would be 26. So 2016.
Wow, 2016. David Levy and 4 other people convinced Charles Barkley to stay
another 10 years.
Wow, man. Well, listen, man, keep your Turner cap on for me, man. Look at the sports media landscape. I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, you got the $100 billion from the NFL. They're on Netflix. They're on Amazon. They're on YouTube. The NBA could be going back to the NBC, right? Yep. 75+ billion. I think I reported that first. I
think you did.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Dave. Back in March 2021. I just want to put that out there. Anything surprising you right now? Because, you know, 2019, I went back to a conversation, you were being asked about it at CSC, and you said sports media is only gets stronger and getting stronger. And here we are in 2024. I just mentioned those 2 mega deals. I'm thinking it's in a good place.
You know, sports truly is the last destination programming.
Yeah.
It's appointment viewing. There is no other appointment viewing on television. I think the entertainment business has completely shifted to the streaming business. So if you're in the linear television business, I say linear, either cable and or broadcast, you need to have sports programming right now. It's a necessity, right? It's a lifeline right now. And quality, I'm not saying just any sports, but quality sports. So I think that's why you're seeing the increases that you continue to see. And then there's always new players, like the streamers. The streamers have done a terrific job in building up their subscribers base with all the entertainment products they have. But in order for them to continue to grow, they're going to have to start peeking into this sports business, and they are. You see Netflix is now with wrestling and football and Amazon and Apple and they're all, and Paramount and Paramount Plus and Peacock and HBO Max. All of them now are looking into sports because it helps build new subscribers and it stops churn.
Yeah.
If you've got an NBA season that lasts 6 to 7 months, that helps.
Not going anywhere.
Your churn's not going to happen. Yeah. So you've got streamers bidding, you got linear people bidding. That's a good thing for sports rights.
Yeah, I would take it that when you seeing all of this stuff, there is no. We were talking about a bubble, right? When is this thing going to pop? Like, it's hard to see it popping now. I mean, listen, $75 billion again, NBA and NFL. I mean, that's.
I've always been one that said there is no bubble.
Yeah.
You know, the marketplace controls itself. We don't control the marketplace. And sports has a built-in fan base, right? You don't have to market sport. You don't have to market the NBA, right? You don't have to market the NFL, right? If you produce a new show, brand new show, a new comedy, a new drama, you've got to market it, and you got to make sure the fan's going to want it or not. 95% of all comedies fail, and 98% of all dramas fail, right? Sports is a pretty safe bet.
Yeah. It is. You sound like John Ledecky. He's like, you know, the Islanders on it. He's like, man, listen, you have no idea. I get free publicity every single time we play on the front page of the newspaper, the back page of the newspaper. I mean, it's crazy, man. But listen, I know you don't like predictions, but scare me a little bit. Can you see something that maybe somebody, you're a visionary, man. You helped build the BR and, you know, NCAA. Is there something that we're not seeing? Is the NFL going to come back to TNT? Like, scare me or surprise me?
Oh, that kind of, you know, a lot of the sports rights are tied up right now. Right, the you know, UFC I think is going to be the next one that's available, and I think the rumor is will it go to Warner Brothers if they happen to lose the NBA. You know, there's not a lot of prediction with sports. I will say this: I think you're going to see a good surprising price on the WNBA deal that's coming out of this new negotiation. I think women's sports are going to continue to rise, and keep an eye on youth sports. I think youth sports is going to be another new aspect that I think is going to have a lot of growth.
Yeah. Listen, man, get you out of here, some macroeconomic stuff. Before I do that, is there step-by-step on how you start a sports marketing and media firm? Like, you have to obviously have the relationships in order, right, to convince a company like Horizon Media to partner with you on this. But what is step one if you're a young marketer that says, I could do this on my own and I'm ready? What do you tell them?
It's hard. It's hard. My partner, Chris, spent 20 years at Momentum and building momentum, so he built a sports marketing agency in experiential and activation. He's just taking all of that incredible knowledge that he had for all those years and helping us build out our brand consulting experiential side. I've spent 33 years at Turner understanding the media side of the business, understanding advertising, distribution, marketing and so forth, and taking that knowledge base and creating IP that I know can work in the network side of things. The two of us are a good 1-2 punch, and I think you just need that kind of experience.
Yeah, the experience. How much do you need? You know, 100,000, 200, 500. Like, what would you invest that young entrepreneur that maybe wants to go into be a competitor for you guys one day? But how much do they need for capital?
For capital, it all depends. It all depends, like what you want to define success, right? You could have as little capital if you don't think you need to be this big, or if you need to be this big. I think capital is all depending on how you define success.
Yeah. Macroeconomic stuff, man. We just were talking about the WNBA, and when you look at this league, right, there are some people saying, hey, this is like Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson, that era, right? Because race relations has played its way into it, you know, and maybe that helps the brand as far as from a visibility perspective. But when you look at the WNBA, what do you see? You see that resemblance, Magic Bird era?
You know, what I see is you got a really strong draft that just recently came out. Incredible brand names out of that draft, not just Caitlin, but all of them, you know. And competition, you know, competition causes rivalries. I like rivalries. Rivalries causes ratings.
Yeah.
Ratings grow, brands grow, people bet on it. We just went through that. Caitlin's got a lot on her shoulders, you know. She's not just trying to rise basketball or women's basketball. It's almost like the entire women's sports marketplace is riding on her back. You know, I completely understand wearing an Olympian selection hat, why she wasn't selected. Completely understand. From an NBC, if I wore my old hat, I would love to have Caitlin on the team. It would help ratings, whether how many minutes she played or not. But the most important thing is to bring home the 8th gold medal. And if they believe that these are the right women to bring that home, I loved Caitlin's answer. Her answer was great. And then I have something to work for in the next 4 years.
Yeah. You said the media rights, right? Don't be surprised, right? What would you, if you had to put a number on it?
I can't put a number on it, but I think you're starting to see the ratings grow. And once ratings grow and once viewership grows around the ratings and sports betting and all the things we just talked about, it's just gonna work back to media rights. It always does.
Yeah, we had Jeremy Grant on here. I know how he made his $1 million, right? But how did David Levy? How did you make your first million, and how did you spend it?
You know what? My father said to me a long, long time ago, you can't get rich by a salary alone. You have to, you know, get some equity, right? And so I got Turner shares very early in my life. Turner was then bought by Time Warner. Time Warner was then bought by AOL. Yeah. Not such a good thing, by the way. AOL was then kicked out. Time Warner was then bought by AT&T. So I went through a lot of mergers and a lot of different things like that. And so the equity helped me get to where I was today.
Right, so you got your equity for your million. Now, how did you spend your first $1 million?
I spent it on my family.
On your family.
You know, you spend it on your house, your cars, your life, your kids.
Yeah, so the Rolls Royce that you had.
No Rolls Royce. The Honda Civic.
The Honda Civic, yeah, okay. Leadership stuff, man. Forbes BLK, we have a great leadership platform. Your best management or leadership book that someone can read for the summer?
That I've read recently? Oh, I wish I had an answer for you. I have a great slogan, I would say, for great leaders, and I think this works all the time. If you treat people the way you want to be treated, you'll be very successful in life.
There you go. Yeah, well, you've always told me that in Texas. Like, treat them nice.
Treat them nice. Treat people. Why can't people treat it like if you want to be treated nice? Why can't you treat other people nice?
Absolutely, man. Listen, this is an interesting poll question, right? Because I'm watching CNN and I'm like, oh, you know this, and they're talking about Dr. Pepper and Pepsi. Did you see this poll?
No.
Well, listen. Apparently, this Dr. Pepper has passed tied Pepsi, right, as the most consumed soda, America's second most consumed soda. Dr. Pepper now tied with Pepsi.
No
Obviously,
way.
Coca-Cola first. I'm only telling you what's reported, right?
No way.
So I ask you, you've been with both brands, Dr. Pepper or Pepsi, which one you taking? I'm taking Dr. Pepper. I love the taste. That's just
I love the cherry taste of Dr. Pepper,
yeah.
but I can't believe Dr. Pepper is outselling.
They're tied with Pepsi's second most consumed soda. I'm telling you, this is what the Wall Street Journal reports. I'm only telling you what's reported.
That's surprising. Maybe. I don't know. You know what? The younger generation is a Pepper generation.
That's the Dr. Pepper it is, man. I'm telling you, my daughter loves Dr. Pepper.
The younger generation.
Dr. Pepper, man.
The older generation is Pepsi.
Yeah, I know.
I got a lot of gray hair, man, so I'm still, you know.
Yeah,
but I could see that Dr. Pepper, but that's a very interesting stat.
I'm telling you, it is, man. I don't want the gray hair, so I'm going to stick with Dr. Pepper. That's what I'm going to do. Get you out of here on this, man. Good to great. Jim Collins wrote a great business book. What is the difference between a good CEO and a great one?
A good CEO and a great one? Delegation. I think if you can trust the people that report to you and delegate them and let them do their job so you can free your time up to think about what the next thing is happening, I think you're going to be a great CEO versus a good CEO.
There you go. That's coming from David Levy, the co-CEO of Horizon Sports Experiences. Said that right?
Thanks. Right? Yes, you did.
Okay, great, because I know you texted me before. I said, make sure you say experiences. I got you. David Levy here at the NASDAQ Markets. I'm Jabari Young. We'll see you next
Jabari,
time.
thank you very much.
Appreciate it, David.